Welcome to the Wealth Chat, where we talk business, banking, and real estate. My name is Benaisha Poole Watson. This is my amazing co-host, Jill Tankard. And today we are talking to Rosezena Pierce, the biz lawyer. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. Hey, ladies. Thank you all for having me. I just want to say that first and foremost. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So, you know, okay, Rosezena, she's everywhere.
Yeah.
So we know she had to stop by the Wealth Chat and give us all this tea and information about trademark and how to keep your business protected.
Yes, it's very important because this is a foundational step to people's businesses. And I know this is the Wealth Chat and people want to know, like, how can they build their wealth and grow their wealth? And if you look at some of the most wealthiest people in our country, they own real estate and they also have an intellectual property portfolio, which trademarks fall under.
That is really good. Okay, so tell us, what is the difference? Because obviously you're in business and I can't wait to hear some of these stories because I knew it was important, but like listening to you, I'm like, oh, it's really important. What's like the big difference between the patent and the trademark?
Yeah, actually, so I always tell people an educated entrepreneur is a successful entrepreneur, and there's actually 4 different types of intellectual property. So you have a copyright. A copyright is a creative expression fixed into a tangible medium. Now, the reason that's important is because if you own a logo for your business or you're having a photographer come and shoot you for a campaign or anything like that, technically those creators who have created that work by default own the copyright under the law. And a lot of times, a lot of business owners don't know that. And as business owners, we should own all of our business assets. Think about it. If you had your logo done, you want to own that because a copyright actually lasts 70 years plus the life of the author. So even in death, it survives the rights of that graphic designer. So even if your graphic designer was your best friend, Susie, and if she dies, a clever estate attorney can come back and collect royalties from that actual logo. And imagine the Nike logo or the Apple logo. If you have something in your business, you want to make sure as the entrepreneur, you fully own all the rights to it. So that's why a copyright is important. You also have a trade secret. Now, a trade secret is the only form of intellectual property that you do not have to register with the government. Why is that? Because it should be a secret. But you have to make sure that you take reasonable measures to protect that secret. As long as it can make you money and you take reasonable measures to protect it under the law, the secret will be recognized. Now, a lot of people don't know, but your customer list can also be treated as a trade secret. So how do you take reasonable measures to protect it? You will have whoever you're going to come into your business and help you manage that customer list sign off on a non-disclosure agreement. Because if they ever leave your company and go to another company, you don't want them taking your customer list to your competitors. So that's the reason that's important. And then you have a patent, which you asked about, and a patent actually protects inventions. So you will apply for a patent with the government, and you will have exclusive rights to use your patent, make your patent, reproduce it for 20 years. The reason why there's a limited amount of time on that is because the government wants to facilitate innovation, right? So as you are inventing things, or we're inventing things in society, they give a limited short amount of time to actually own those rights exclusively so that we can continuously be innovative as a society as a whole.
Now what's the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay. But trademarks is actually a source identifier for consumers to relate back to where a product or service come from. So you have a name, logo, slogans, and also not a lot of people know, but you can also trademark a sound as well.
Oh, wow.
So you got mail. That's an actual trademark. Or the Harlem Globetrotters, their sound, it's actually only about 60 registered sound trademarks with the USPTO right now.
Wow. That is so interesting.
What in your opinion, what's the percentage of people who start businesses that do not even go to the next step with it?
I would say about 80%, right? Because a lot of times we just don't know. And a lot of times especially small business owners, they're under the misconception when they form their business under their Secretary of State, right? And most people say they're LLC. When they incorporate their businesses, they think they have done all that they need to do to run and push their business forward, which is fine. But as entrepreneurs, we need to understand the different types of legal vehicles and how they actually work. And I say, first and foremost, don't fall victim to thinking that an LLC is the end-all be-all. That might not be the best entity type for you. Like, this is the wealth chat, right? Most big wealthy companies, they're going to go under a form of a corporation, because a corporation is going to actually give you the widest protection. And the purpose of incorporating, using it as a verb, is to actually shield yourself from any legal liability that is to arise out of the business, right? As the individual owner. So the corporation gives you this huge corporate shield, and you have to almost be totally egregious for a lawyer to pierce that corporate veil, right? And so, but that's the point of that. And it's also for tax purposes. And in case also you wanted to raise like venture capital, the venture capitalist is not going to invest into a company that's not formed, right? Because they want to take a piece of the company away. But that does not give you actual ownership rights to the name, right? And so that's why you see like big corporations like Nike, who is formed under the Secretary of State of Oregon, but they also own their trademark with the USPTO, which is the federal government. Because here's the thing, your state only has so much power and can only perform within the state. But you need federal protection to protect your name, because there can be someone in the state of Florida and you're in the state of Texas using your business name, and you got to have the power to reach out and touch them. And that's and the federal government gives you that power.
That's strong. So real quickly, what law school did you go to?
I went to the John Marshall Law School in Chicago. I'm from the west side of Chicago.
Okay. What made you even want to get involved in this type of law?
So I wanted to be a lawyer since I was 5. The reason being is because my dad had some run-ins with the criminal law system, and he began to work for an attorney as a criminal investigator. He worked for a criminal defense attorney, and so I was exposed to it very young, very early on. And then I knew once I became in high school, I wanted to do something. I used to say international business law. I didn't know what the heck that meant. It just sounds sexy, fun, and it sounds like I get to travel a lot. But then once I actually attended undergrad, I was exposed to intellectual property law, and I've just been studying it ever since. So it's been well over 15 years that I've been studying this type of law.
That is so awesome. So I studied international security, and that attracted me as well, the international piece, because you feel like you're connected to other. And the amazing thing is I have a full service trademark practice. It's been open for 10 years. I have 14 people that work for me. We was just actually ranked number 37 out of over 28,000 trademark law firms in the country. Oh, wow.
Thank you. And we actually, we're taking our practice international. One thing the federal government did is said that any foreign filers who want to file a trademark before the U.S. government, they have to be registered. They have to be represented by a U.S. attorney. And so now we're going out internationally and making business connections, because global economy is where the wealth resides, right?
Of course.
And so it's just like going out and making partnerships, because they need us just as much as we want their business as well.
So I wanted to know, a lot of people are on social media, and then they're recording themselves and they're making these audios. Does any of that fall into your spectrum or your space?
So that will typically fall under copyright law, right? But when you're on social media, the social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook, when you're signing up as an end user to use with those platforms, you're giving away some of your rights, right? Where you're basically consenting to people reposting and resharing your content. That's the whole purpose of these platforms. So I would just say, if you are planning on trying to protect your content, you want to be very well versed of what type of social medias you're engaging in and what their terms and conditions say.
Absolutely.
And I was just telling Jewel before we started, it has become the wild, wild west, especially with social media, with the internet and things like that. And that's why it's even more important that you secure your brand, because, copycatters, counterfeiters, they pop up like whack-a-mole, especially with these digital platforms and things like that. So you just want to make sure you're protecting yourself.
At what point should a business say, okay, now it's time for us to do this. Because I know some people, when they're starting off in business, they're just trying to pull their coins together and pull the product together and see how it's going to go. When do you say, okay, if a business hits 6 figures or $500,000 or $1 million, like at what point should they get really serious and say, hey, we need to make sure we copyright or trademark some of these things? And I don't know, maybe if you can give us an example of kind of what you're seeing right now.
Yeah, so I always ask people this: will you build a house on land you don't own? I'm gonna ask y'all, would y'all build a house on land you don't own?
Absolutely not.
But you know what? The land first, right?
Yep.
In the states, right? According to, because you need the deed to the land before you build that house. Because if you build that house on the land that you don't own, the landowner can come in and make you tear that house down, right? It's the same thing in business. You just shouldn't build a business or a brand that you don't own, because anybody can come in and tear it down. And what I tell entrepreneurs, we got to shift our mindset. It's not about where we're starting from, but where we're trying to get to.
Right.
So you got to make sure your foundation is in order first before you begin to build, because what ends up happening is I get people that call my office and they have put $150,000 in a brand, $500,000 in a brand, and now they got to go fight a lawsuit because in that investment that they made, the name is attached to everything, and they don't own the name. You get what I'm saying? So it's just very, very important that we start with our foundation first. And if you look at all the Fortune 100, 500 companies, they always securing everything first. Like even Kanye, when everybody's talking about, Donda, when he released his album, when he did his big listening party here in Atlanta, Jordan, at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Before even coming and doing any of that, 6 months before, he filed the trademark, right? And I say success leaves clues. You got to go look at the successful people and see how they moving in business if you want to be successful. Or you're going to be, we just did a campaign called Trademark Therapy, where we got to take you through grief counseling because you just took your whole 401k out to invest in a business that now you got to tear down and rebuild all over again.
Wow. Ooh,
those cease and desist letters are real.
They real.
Yeah.
And what's also real is punitive damages, and also if they actually own the trademark, they can get 3 times the amount of profits that you made on their business name. Yeah. So it's so real. But also too, the law goes both ways. It benefits small business owners too. I always tell people one of the small business owners' success with their trademarks was Mixed Chicks. Mixed Chicks, have you guys heard of their hair brand? So they were actually approached by Sally's Beauties to actually distribute their products. Sally's actually, they refused Sally's and was like, no, we don't want to do business like that. So Sally's went and created a brand called Mixed Silk.
Wow.
Look very much the same, product packaging and everything. So Mixed Chicks, the small business owner, sued the big corporation for trademark infringement, trade dress infringement, and also unfair competition in the marketplace. They actually were awarded an $8 million judgment because of Sally's behavior. And Sally's only made $900,000 off that brand. So they only made close to $1 million, but they were able to get another $7 million in punitive damages because they owned their trademark.
Wow.
And they were protected by the statute.
That is so good. We are just about out of time. We got to get ready to go to break, but this has been so good. One last question. So you help them get the trademark, copyright, and you can also go for punitive damages if that happens?
So it's if someone is intentional about the infringement, right? And they're very blatant. So counterfeit products and things like that, or they're intentionally trying to infringe upon your brand and pretty much get your customers to buy with them and things like that. So it's all about the intention when it comes to the statute and the damages and how the law applies it.
All right, girl, this has been so good.
Yes.
We did a lot of tea. All right, we're going to be right back right after this.
And we have more to talk about, y'all. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Wealth Chat. where we talk business, banking, and real estate. And guess what? We're going to get into some relationship stuff too. We're going to throw that in there just a little bit.
Let's do that.
Yes.
Let's do that. Because she was talking about intention.
Yeah. So, okay, the big news right now is that Rihanna stepped down as the CEO of her company and put somebody else in her place, right? She's still on, incorporated into the process, but she's not the CEO anymore. You have 14 employees. You're operating a business as a CEO.
Yeah.
And we want to know, how do you find time, or do you find that you have more time now to spend time with your family, to love on your kids? How does that feel, and do you actually step back into the business and give it that full-time experience anymore? Like, how is it when you have enough people giving the same energy you would give?
So, I'm more working on the business now and not in the business. My 14 employees, they have assigned duties. That's what helped take us to number 37. Actually, I was just ranked number 15 out of over 33,000 trademark attorneys in the country.
Wow.
But I can't even take credit for it. It's my team, right? And so people used to ask me, like, what's my biggest weakness? And for me, it was delegation. Look, I'm a black woman in America with trust issues, right?
Yes.
I did not trust people with my business, but I learned that we have to separate that emotional thing if we have to boss up and do business, true business, right? And that was costing me money by hoarding tasks and, not delegating and things like that. So I'm trying. God's still working with me. He's still working on me, but I am letting go. My son will be 22 years old. I have a daughter who just made 18 years old. So the both of them are going away to college. And I have a 10-year-old. And so really for me, it's about taking my business to the next level. So instead of working in it, I'm working on it to like take it to a higher, like I'm trying to do something in this legal space that has never been done by a black woman before. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, I feel like the calling is really big. So I don't ever, like, even if I take a day off of rest, like my first day off of rest was Mother's Day for this year. I feel guilty. Right? I remember experiencing mommy guilt because when I finished law school, I had them 3 babies. At the time, the youngest one was 3 months old, and I had mommy guilt. And now it's a sense of entrepreneur guilt a little bit if I'm not working, right?
Yes,
like,
yes,
real.
yes,
It's
yes.
real. Like,
Yes.
I don't even watch TV no more.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I just feel like I'm not. And I come from the west side of Chicago. I come from nothing.
Yeah.
And, it resonates with me. I never want to go back to where I come from. It made me everything that I am. But when God revealed who you are and show you that you deserve so much better, like, I got to keep working at that. You know what I'm saying? I'm young. I'm 40. But by the time I'm 50, I want to chill if that's what I want to do. If that's the option, right? And so for me, like, even though the team got that, I'm working on the next thing to take us to the next level. So I don't just fall all the way back.
Well, I love the Midwest Connect because we got Detroit and then the West Side. You got LA.
Absolutely.
So I love it.
So let me ask you this, and that was a good question, and I think what your question was good, because I think you do have to know, what season am I in?
Yes.
If I'm in a startup, this is where I gotta be, or I'm in established business, and I think all of us being serial entrepreneurs, we can say, this is my startup baby, but this is my established baby, and then learning how to delegate, not just in business, but even in the home. Getting that help, that nanny, that cook, that driver, that housekeeper, being okay with saying, I deserve to have that support and that help, because to your point, everything is about the team. So we ask this a lot on the Well Chat, because Benaisha and I have had tons of conversations just about relationships, and when you start talking about dating and women, coming into their power and being bossy, like, all of us, it's so funny because all the women that we have interviewed are just girls, feminine, want that strong man, bossy on one end, but also wanting to be okay with being vulnerable at the same time.
Yes.
What do you think is important when you look for a man to say, okay, these are the qualifications that are important? Because sometimes, even though there's a part of us that's tender and sweet, that bossy side can be intimidating. So what have you...
Like, for me, I'm looking for a man that is God-fearing. and God-led, right? Because one thing about me, I am a CEO of my business, but when it comes to my home, I want to be the woman. Like, I want to be soft and cuddled on. You know what I'm saying? I want to, like, oh, I can't pick that up.
Yeah. Can you open this for me?
And I think, too, like, a lot of men are intimidated by, bossed up women and CEO women. But like I told somebody the other day, my masculinity side, that's where my survival mode lies, right? Like, I got to survive. I got to eat. So I got to do what I got to do to make it happen. But no woman wants to live there. And live there. Be there. Like, we want to be protected. We want to be provided for. We want to be loved on. We want to be, if you're a real woman, I don't want to wear the pants.
That's right. That's right.
Like, period.
That's right.
Like, because I know who I am as a woman. Yeah. And so I need a man who can come in and leave, and regardless of what that is, when I'm outside at the workplace, when we at home, like, I respect you.
Yes.
I'm submissive to you.
Come on.
I would never disrespect your manhood.
Yes.
Like, I love everything. And I think we get it.
Yes.
Because I have had so many men be like, I'm intimidated by you. I would never date you. That's your loss. Because once you experience this,
that's
you
right.
know what I'm saying? Like,
a whole nother level.
It's a real woman right
yes,
there.
Yes.
That can still take care of business at the end of the day. So, for me, it's really, I think what has been compatible for me is somebody who have their own thing going on.
Right.
They're just as confident in their business and everything, and we complement each other.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, he the man, I'm still the woman. Babe, what we doing today?
Yes. That part.
When I say we love that, we talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
And I think being conscious of what season am I in.
Yeah.
Because I was married before I was married to my honey now, Ben, and that was one of the issues that we came into. He became very jealous of my growth, and I said, okay, next time, God, you send me somebody, I needed to be somebody who's very established and very confident and comfortable in who they are. I heard Rick Ross say, y'all might have saw the interview, he was like, because your girl was asking him, will you ever get married? He said, well, actually, I would consider it at this point, but she got to be confident to say, I'm going on this part of the world to dominate, while he on this part of the world to dominate, and we're going to come back and dominate together. Yeah. And so it worked out because Ben was very secure in who he was, and, we're all in industries where we have to deal with men. But when you're clear on your purpose, clear on what God has called you to do, and then who God has called you to be with, and so it definitely can work.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It can work, but I think to your point, and so what we talk about all the time, they really do have to be established. They got to really have their own thing. And then when we come, we can have the pom-poms and say, good job.
Right.
And the confidence,
it's
right?
The confidence.
It's the confidence, right? And I think when you're dealing with a confident man, they love a confident woman. Yes. It's a compliment to them. Right. And so I think, what I'm realizing is people who don't want to deal with women who are in power, that's an insecurity that's reflecting in them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. They got to respect the hustle.
They got to respect.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Because, the wealth chat, like right now, like Jay-Z said, what's better than one billionaire?
Yep.
Two.
Yep. That's right.
It's for real.
True.
Like,
it's so true.
Because you got to think about it, especially like in a black family where we're coming from, we're coming up against so much poverty and generational curses, and it's gonna take two people. You know what I'm saying, to like conquer that and set some things, like kill some things that has been, in our past for our families and things like that. Like, because here's the thing, I go through things and struggles. Like, what way to end the day with just a great conversation with my man at home, and we talking, and I get to vent to him and share things with him,
and he understands
exactly that I can't share with anybody else, right? And the same thing for him. I got to create a safe environment for him, a safe space for him where he can be vulnerable with me at the same time.
Absolutely.
I don't want to talk about basic stuff. I want you to tell me how your crazy day went. I want to tell you how my crazy day went. And then I want to just go together.
Yeah.
And
we entertained by each other's crazy day.
Yeah. And they understand your crazy day. Sometimes when you're dealing with people, they don't understand that entrepreneur spirit and stuff like that. It kind of goes over their head, and then they get frustrated. You want to talk to them. You want to keep them in your life, but sometimes you just can't go together.
You just can't.
And you know when you're with the wrong person, because if you begin to excel your excellence begin to irritate their mediocrity, right?
Right.
And so now it's like they irritated and they don't want to hear what you got going on and all. Like that, like, come on, are we together or are we against each other?
Right.
Like you supposed to be celebrating and we supposed to be figuring out how we can, you know, get you to that same point. So
Exactly. No, I think we got to have more conversations like that. Because I think if we identify, these are my core values. Because nobody is perfect, right?
Right.
But these are my core values. So as long as these things are in place, I can deal with the imperfections.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
my honey is not going to necessarily do dishes. He's not necessarily going to do laundry. I don't care. I don't need him to do that.
Right.
Because he takes good care of me. He listens when I talk. You know what I mean? And I celebrate him, and then he celebrates me. And then I also have wisdom to know that there maybe times where it's like I don't have to share every little detail of every little deal because I never want it to be a competition. I want him to always know he is the man, he my Hercules, like, and make it the Ben show. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think having that wisdom and knowing how to do that. So this was good.
These are important conversations to have because, like you said, the misconceptions, the intimidation factor or whatever. So it's almost like, and women have that against men too. If you're dating someone who is on a higher level, you may feel like, I know a lot of women that say they don't feel confident enough to talk to a man who's doing X, Y, Z. So, you know, women feel it too.
Yeah.
Women feel it too.
And I think it's interesting because I don't think what men need from women is different from what women need. I think men just need to be admired and respected. Ben tells me all the time, baby, if you don't make another dime, I'm okay with it. As long as you keep yourself together, be here for me. He's like, I really don't care about that. Where for us, that's not my whole
I'm gonna need a little bit more than the muscle.
You know what I mean? So I think, like you said, having those conversations about what's important to each person becomes really, really important.
Yes. Oh my God, this was so good.
This was really good. So one thing that you would, as we get ready to close out, would be the one thing that you would tell entrepreneurs listening, and it sounds like they need to start at the beginning of the business and don't wait. And is it affordable? Because I think that's probably what a lot of people are thinking, like, ooh, if I do that, can I afford it? Especially if it's a new business.
Yeah, so a lot of people, that's their biggest misconception. I can't afford it, right? Our office, when I started working with small business owners. In our office, we made our services affordable and accessible to the small business community, right? And the thing is, we find money for all the things we want to do, right? And if we are really not playing house with our business, when we used to play house when we was kids, if we're not doing that and we're actually big about our business, I think it's very affordable because it's like protection for you as well.
That's good. All right, girl, I think we done wrapped it up today.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having us, or you being on here hanging out with us. And thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you guys share this feed and also make sure you follow us on YouTube. And until next time, make sure you tune in to the Wealth Chat. Bye-bye.
Hit that subscribe button, y'all.